Okay, so this is a purpose-driven. It is live. Well, kind of. But I thought I would do something about, you know, because, I got to put my thoughts out there just so I can kind of put a place marker. So I thought I'd do a purpose-driven to do it. Driving on my afternoon commute, of course, as usual. And I thought, hey, let me talk about a situation that I've touched on in other videos. Forgive me for the truck beside me being all loud with its engine. But let me touch on something I've talked prior in my videos and in a few of my prior videos and kind of explain why things today are well not technically explaining why things today are different because I always talk about that, but why some people who give advice today, their advice is outdated. I talk about how society has changed over time, why certain laws have been put in place. For example, monogamy. It's there for a reason. It benefits heavily women, and marriage itself also benefits women. It's more of a liability for men. It has always been, but it has been a security designed for women and monogamy, because it would literally, as a man, you could get a one way to get a divorce is to step out on your wife, so it would enforce to some extent monogamy. But women of old understood ain't nobody trying to marry me after a while, so they just kind of just tolerated their guys, which is why I talked about how a lot of the couple whom were well off, all of them actually were white. I don't think any of them. Yeah, I think all of them were white, and how they don't even share a bedroom anymore. Like all of them, they had their own rooms, and in some cases, they had their own houses. I talked about the one case where the woman was literally building another house 2 houses down, and she was telling me about the plans and how it was going to be and all this other stuff. Yeah, she was building a whole nother house, like two houses down. The couple that was sharing a townhome where you close a door and it's two different houses, pretty much. Yeah, I told you about this guy, but they were at least smart enough to stay married. That's really the only difference. And how it's not this whole concept of just because today's guys are weak, because I mean some of these guys weren't exactly manly men either. It's just that there was an understanding. I mean, for one, there were laws that actually prevented women from working certain jobs that men could out earn them with. So I mean, let's just be real. That it was there were literally laws put in place for it to enforce it. Today there are no laws. So actually today women are freer than ever to be themselves. This is a fact. This is a fact. Women today are freer to be themselves. There are no laws binding them to marriage or anything, or the men that they got with, because I also talked about how feminism really only benefited the ugly women because they literally have no shot at living that advanced lifestyle, living that higher lifestyle, because one, there were laws that prevented them from getting certain jobs to do it, and they were bound to the men that were willing to take them on, which were not the higher earning men. So yes, feminism absolutely benefited them. But I do want to say this, and it pertains to the thumbnail, it pertains to the title, which is you don't understand modern women and men. It's a pun there, women. So it's supposed to be for men and women. You don't understand modern women if you're surprised by anything they do. And I say that specifically because if these stories and everything, there's a reason why when I'm looking into, doing the Trials of Men series, and I'm also going to do the inverse of that, and I'm going to talk about the women and their characteristics and nature. There's a reason why it's beneficial to understand the basic essentials as to what makes them tick, what makes you tick. Because otherwise, it becomes easy to not only hindsight's 2020. It's easy to talk about something after something happens, but one of the things that's very key, one of the things that I like to do, which I've talked about, is run my simulation and predict things that are going to happen. And in order for that to happen, you have to know as many variables as possible. So if you don't understand the basics to what makes things happen, you won't be able to effectively, predict where it's going to go from here. Some people are better than others at predicting certain things because they have more information about certain things. Some people just be talking. If I'm just being serious, they just talking and they say enough to where I mean there is a method to this also. Is what actually it's a tactic that that some of those what do you call it, the mind readers use, or the people that like talk to like the dead loved ones. There is a tactic where they use statistics that are very highly favorable to the general population, and then they kind of say stuff like they throw a net. It's calculated, but they throw a net, and then eventually, if you're good enough at it, eventually you'll catch enough people in that net to where it looks like you're effectively predicting stuff. When in reality, you just understand how things work, and you pretty much said enough. Like a broken clock is right twice a day. You've said enough to where, and then you just focus in on the times you were right, and then you like, oh, look at me, I'm smart because I predicted these two things, even though the last 20 things you predicted were absolutely totally false. So there is a method that some people use that tactic as well, but I'm talking about like you're able to predict things with deadly accuracy, and you're pretty much like 80% or greater accurate. And the only times you're not accurate are mostly because you have outlying variables that you did not know about. Because the more you know about something, the more you can infer about something. I'm going to display example of that. Given I'm going to do another reflex on the Brittany Renner situation because I got more information. I did give certain narratives as to where I think it's going to head, and you're going to see how now that I got even more information, now I'm kind of narrowing my window down onto those narratives that I gave because I didn't have, like, we will never know everything because one of the things Brittany likes to say is my truth. So there's her truth, there's his truth, and then there's the truth. So we'll never know everything, but the more you know about something, the better you'll understand it, and the better you can break it down and actually work upon it or predict what's going to happen. For example, your cell phone. Most people have a cell phone. You can have a cell phone and be teaching people how to use their cell phone. You know absolutely nothing about what makes that cell phone work. All you know is like women, for example, they can tell you everything about their darn phone, but they can't tell you how any of that crap works, any of it, inner workings, how it sends signals, how it receives signals, none of that. They can't. All they can tell you is, I got a phone, I know it does this, this, and that, but they can't explain to you why it does this, this, and that. They can't explain to you why sometimes it glitches in this area, why sometimes it glitches in that area. Now, a guy that actually builds the phones and understands the inner workings, he can actually tell you, oh yeah, the reason why it glitches and something when you do this and do that is because of this. So he can kind of predict, oh, if you do this, it's going to do that. He can better predict what's going to happen and when the glitches are going to happen and when stuff is going to happen. The regular everyday person, they're not going to know anything about that. All they know is like, oh, every now and then it glitches, and then they'll mark it off as what they tend to say. It's a contradiction to the rule or anecdotal or whatever. No, if you understand something, you'll understand it fully. At least, I mean, maybe not absolutely, because I mean, you have to know everything for something to be absolute. But when it comes to people, and you understand people, I mean, you can get 99% accurate. I mean, you'll probably never be 100% accurate, but you'll get very you'll get very very accurate at it, which is why I'm okay talking about celebrities because they're not an exception to the rule. Because the truth is what it is. It is what it is. They are not an exception to the rule, and anyone who says they're exception to the rule, they can't explain certain things, thoroughly. If I'm just being honest, they like to narrow things down, but they don't want to explain it as it is today. Especially people whom we're talking about modern dating and modern marriage. If you've been married 15 plus years, you aren't included in that. You haven't been a part of modern dating and modern marriage and the options today. Like some of these girls in high school weren't even born 15 years ago because they mama birthed them into the world when she was 20. Now she's 35. Like, so it's like you can't have an understanding of modern dating if you've been married for so long. And also you can't have an understanding of modern dating or marriage if you haven't even been dating effectively for so long. I've actually been dating within the last 10 years. I've actually been dating. And when I saw the dating apps and stuff, because I'm one of the people who likes to talk in person, when I saw the dating apps and stuff, I was like, yeah, let me get the hell up off this market because shit's about to, like, because I was still young and I see now if I had my shit together, then yes, I would have kept playing because I understood, hey, I got the money, I got the leverage, I got everything I need. All these chicks is about to be mine. I didn't have the leverage. I knew that because what 20-year-old has leverage? I mean, let's just be what 20-year-old man has leverage. Young man, you know. Now women, it's different. Y'all understand y'all leverage, but for a young 20 or something year old guy, you don't got no damn leverage. And I knew that. That's why when I was looking at the dating apps, I was like, yeah, of course, girls ain't gonna really. I mean, I was one of the guys they would consider cute. They would deal with me because I was cute. But let's just be real. I knew better than to think that those girls that were dealing with me would be a good wife to me. No, because I ain't have no leverage. They just looked to lock me down, and then whether I performed or not, they take action. And I was like, yeah, let me not get myself into a sticky situation too young. But once I started better understanding myself, and I still continue to deal with my current wife, and eventually we got married. But things were on track. So it wasn't just like I just like, oh, I fell in love. And another thing is people that speak too vaguely, like speak this stuff where it's like, oh, you must understand yourself. That, well, what are you talking about? Okay, you're saying you must understand yourself, or you must not, or the hindsight 2020 years where they talk about, oh, you the reason why it didn't work out is because you wasn't the man you're supposed to be, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so you're not leaving any option that she might have just from day one she was like, yeah, I'm gonna try and trap this dude, or I'm gonna try and screw him over, I'm gonna try and get what I can out of him because they don't understand modern women and anything and everything they do today, modern women and men. If you're surprised by it, you don't understand them at all. Period. I'm not surprised by any of it. I mean, to be honest, I laugh about it because I'm like, I mean, sometimes it's just too obviously dumb. Either the woman does something extremely dumb and she tries to lie about it, or the dude does something extremely dumb and then he tries to lie about it. Both of them trying to save face, and I'm just like, all right, I kind of know what happened here. Like, I just laugh about it. Like the Brittany Renner situation. People were talking about the child support payment. As soon as I heard somebody was talking about she getting 200,000 a month in child support payment, I'm like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? Ain't nobody getting no $200,000 a month in child support. She did not marry this man. Now, if she had married him, there, it might have been compounded with the alimony or something. But I was like, she ain't married this dude. Ain't no damn way he getting 200,000. She getting $200,000 a month in child support game. The child support game, the hustle is done with. The system does not work that way like you think it does anymore. Like all these guys tell their horror stories. Yeah, they're paying, paying $1,000 a month is a lot more to a guy who's getting 50,000 a year. Paying $1,000 a month is totally different to a guy who's earning like 2 million a year. There are limits to it. Like you can't it does not you can't just get a exorbitant amount of resources out of child support. The hustle does not work that way. Brittany Renner literally admits to that herself, which is why I plan on doing the dive. I mean, her reflex on her. Because some people they just jump to conclusions and they don't understand. Now hey, it's smart to do the 2020 route because you can never really be wrong because you're always talking about shit after it happens. I mean, that's it's kind of easy to do, but it doesn't show that you have a better understanding about it. It just shows that you know how to talk about stuff after it happens. Anybody can infer about something after it happens, and I mean, to be honest, you can just try to explain stuff after it happens, and who's to say you're wrong unless the person themselves comes out and talks about it. But a lot of these people don't. So I thought I might talk about this a little bit later since I ran out of time. But yeah, if you're surprised about modern women and women and what the thing, modern men and women and what the things they do, you don't understand them. So I thought I'll just make that very clear.